So we haven't done any research for a while, so let's go and figure out for 2024, what are the best companies that have the best dividends that we might want to invest in this year. So as usual, I'm going to go into the computer and we'll do the research together, but here's what we're looking for. Now, first we're looking for a high dividend company. We're just going to look at companies in this video. We can do ETFs in another video, but we'll just stick with companies in this one. So I'm usually looking for a dividend yield of 5% or higher. You can go slightly lower, it depends on what you're actually looking for, but that's what I tend to aim for, and we'll be sticking to the ASX 200. Next, I want to make sure that those dividends are consistent, so we'll go and make sure that they've been paying consistently about the same price and about the same time, so we can kind of get an idea of what our income might be. Because there's nothing worse than a company that pays high, then low, then you just never know what they're going to do next. We want consistency, boring, and stable. And the last thing we look at is to make sure that the price is growing over time, because we do not want to get into the trap of finding a high dividend company and that the price is dropping and falling over the long term. We want both. We want both growth in the price and growth in the dividends. So again, we're looking for those nice stable companies that are growing over the long term. There are other things we can look at too. Sometimes we can look at return on equity, sometimes we can look at debt, but those are the three main ones that I look for: high dividend yield, consistency in dividends, and consistently growing over time as well. That way, those are the sort of companies that I like to put in my portfolio. So for 2024, let's go and see which companies make the grade. Here we go. I'm just going to use the stock screener on CommSec to narrow down my choices, and we'll go with the ASX 200 and we'll choose the companies over 5%. Now it's giving me the results. I'm just going to pop that into a spreadsheet. The three columns I'm going to keep is the stock code, obviously the dividend yield, and I'll keep the franking in, even though I probably won't use it in that video. It's just nice to know. And let's just sort it and get the highest dividend yields up front. The consistency on dividends, I usually just eyeball this and decide just by looking at the graphs on CommSec whether I think it's consistent enough that I would put it into my portfolio or not. So let's go ahead and I'll start filling these in. So the first one we have is Pilbara Minerals. It's only just started giving dividends, so it's certainly not consistent. We'll put that as a no. CRN is also not consistent. I couldn't rely on that for income. WDS is fairly consistent. They've been only been increasing over the last two payments over 2022 and 2023, but I'd still probably put that as consistent because I'd feel comfortable enough putting that into my portfolio. Alumina, apart from some big ones in 2018 and 2019, look, they've been consistent so far, and based on the current dividend yield, if they stuck with that, and they have over the last 3 years, I'd be happy with that, so I would put that as a yes. I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of these, and I'll stop if there's any that I think that I would like to explain more. The APA group is a perfect example of gorgeous, gorgeous dividends growing over time. Now, I don't know what the 5-year chart looks like yet, so they might be eliminated there, but love to see that sort of rise and growth. Just a quick note on the materials sector. A lot of companies in the materials sector especially have been doing really well with dividends over the last few years, but they're now starting to decrease. I'd kind of pull back on the materials sector for now, but materials is very cyclical, so they're bound to go up again at some stage. I've just finished filling everything in based on the consistency. Let's just eliminate all of the no's now so we can just look at the yeses, and then we can see which ones have increased in price or not. Price increases, I generally just go to Google and check their chart and change the chart to 5 years to see if it's gone up or down. And I usually compare that to the ASX 200, which has gone up 27% over the last 5 years. So now I'm looking for companies that are around that average or higher, hopefully higher. Sometimes I'll go lower, depends on the dividend yield. I was starting to get nervous around here that I wouldn't find any that have actually increased over the past 5 years, but finally we found our first one. So thank you. So we do have some to have a look at further down the track. I've filled all that in now, so I'm just going to go and eliminate those that are both negative and are kind of too low over the price increase over the last 5 years compared to the ASX 200. Here are the ones above 10%, and we'll also highlight the ones above around 27%. Now, of those that I want to look at further, there's 11 that have actually increased above the ASX 200 and have really good dividend yields. To make sure this video isn't too long, I'll only look at the top 5 dividend yield companies, because why not? We are dividend investors, so we do want the best dividend yield for our money. And I'll have a look at those and see if any of them out of the top 5 I would actually put into my portfolio.
First, we have Ampol, nice 6.7% dividend yield. It is 100% franked, and it only has gone up in the last 2 years, although even before that, it was pretty decent. So that's why I've kept it in as being consistent. Also, if you noticed, pays in March, so we've got time if you wanted to get in for the next dividend. The 1 year chart looks beautiful, nice increase, and the 5 year chart is also increasing nicely. Do note though that it is peaking now at the highest it's ever been in 5 years, except for in 2020, so it's back at that level. So it's anybody's guess where it might go next. But overall, I like Ampol. I would consider that for my portfolio. Next is NIC. They've only paid for the last 4 years, although the last 3 have been pretty consistent. So it's something to keep that in mind. Also, its ex-dividend date is also coming up in March and paying in March. So you could get in before that if that's something that you wanted to do. Looking at the 1 year chart, it has decreased. Now that's kind of concerning, especially because that's a pretty straight line down after 1 year. Not that exciting there. After 5 years, it also looked like it's on a downturn. So even though the dividends looked okay, it's probably not one that I would consider right now. Next, we've got Whitehaven. Though it didn't pay in 2021, I think I might have been a little bit too optimistic about this one. Okay, the 1 year chart, it is back on an upswing, so that's interesting. And over 5 years, it's just whether you think that the dividends are consistent enough or not. Now I've got NHW. Dividends look amazing. Love those dividends, nice and consistent and growing. Let's look at the chart. After 1 year, it's been pretty stagnant, slightly down. And over 5 years, again, hasn't done a great deal over the last 5 years. It is trending upwards though since about 2021. But those dividends look beautiful, and 6.1% dividend yield and growing. And also their ex-dividend date's in March and they pay in April. So it's not too far away also. So I don't mind that one. Finally, we have MTS. Dividends look great. They're 100% frank. They have just paid, so you've missed out on that. You'll have to wait till August before they pay again. Let's look at the chart. 1 year, they're decreasing. Yeah, I don't like that. It looks on a pretty bad downturn, and over 5 years it's probably decreased since about the beginning of 2022, even though it was an upswing before that. I don't know, I don't love that chart. So out of them, I probably like NWH the best, although any of those top 11 could be a consideration for your portfolio.
So what do you think? Did you like any of those companies? Do you think that you might put them on a watch list and maybe consider them for your own portfolio? As usual, do your own research. This is just a research video. I'm just giving you the information. I hope you're going to have a great 2024 investment-wise and just generally having a great 2024 anyway. Hope you've enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Happy investing!